Hey guys, what's up? So it's time again for the everything I watched, but for this month I'll be making two separate videos for movies and series because I watched a shit ton of movies during September and I'm afraid that that'll make the video super long. So make sure to subscribe to be updated once the part 2 is out. So anyway, let's get started. Here's every movie I watched in September. So first one we have By Bust, directed by Eric Mati. He's known for badass movies. It's about a special forces team who is sent to snuff out drug den only to find out that they are being set up and betrayed. So sobrang daming fighting scenes dito to the point na ako na mismo yung napapagod watching them, like as in ang dami, like the whole community is just against this team, so everyone is fighting them. And yeah, it's actually kind of impressive. Like I wonder how they shot that. Like it must be a pain in the ass. I don't know, they must have a really great production team to be able to pull that off kasi it looks really challenging, you know, like sobrang sikip nung like location, and like basta a lot of things were going on during the scenes. So yeah, anyway, next one is Dito at Doon, directed by JP Habak. It's about our life during quarantine. You know, it shows how it affected our work, our studies, dating life, social life, our families, friends, and ourselves. And yeah, so parang ayun nga, it's about our life in general during the quarantine, like how it's changed and how it's affected us. Most especially yung I think it highlighted the yun nga, dating life in during the pandemic. Like nauso ngayon yung yun, online love, ganun. So yeah, honestly kinikilig ako, like yeah, yung mga scenes nilang dalawa, I think it's really realistic and tawag dito, relatable. So yeah, next we have John Wick Chapter 3. John Wick is an excommunicado and everyone is after him, but he remains badass in the end. So, alam niyo na yun, John Wick. Next one is Bliss. It's about an actress, Jane, who decides to produce her own film to earn respect from the industry. But a terrible accident happens in the set which left her temporarily crippled and trapped inside her house. Then strange things started happening. It seemed like she was stuck in a loop or something. Like she's like waking from a never-ending nightmare. And to be honest, medyo nawalan ako ng interest during the middle of the film, but I do think na the ending was rewarding. So yeah, it's actually really nice and I'd love to see more local horror films na ganito, like more on the psychological side, I guess, like psychological horror. That's like my favorite genre, so it was enjoyable watching this. Next, we have Waco, released in 2012. It's about Rene, an old gay man who has nothing else to look forward to but his death. He then starts making a will and even buys himself a coffin. As he waits for the day of his death, his dog Waco was diagnosed with cancer. So it's about growing old and our fear of growing old alone, and it was really sad kasi Waco is the only one he had left. Tapos like, you know, all his time, parang he spent all his time looking forward for his death and getting ready for the day of his death, only to find out na mauuna pa palang mamatay yung aso sa kanya, so he ends up being alone. So it's really sad, you know, anything that involves an animal dying is sad. Yeah, unless they're dinosaurs, I guess, or monsters. Next is School of Rock. It's about a guy who pretends to be a substitute teacher and ends up secretly teaching his students about rock and roll. He formed a band with his students and made them join the Battle of the Bands. It's really funny and really enjoyable. So ayun, very feel-good movie lang. Just, you know, a lot of fun. Jack Black is really, really fun guy, you know. What else can you say? And it actually made me miss my rock phase a bit. So yeah, dumaan ako dun sa rock and roll phase. There was a time where I was listening to MCR and all of those, rock bands and stuff. Next is Miss Granny. It's the Filipino remake of the South Korean movie of the same name. I think Sarah Geronimo really carried the whole movie. Like, it's amazing how she was able to sell the movie kasi for me, I think hindi siya gaanong like, you know, like impressive, I guess. Pero you're able to enjoy it because of Sarah. Like, she's such a fun to watch and she's really talented. And yeah, like may enjoy mo siya dahil kay Sarah. Although I do think na ang weird lang nung part na James Reed's character is attracted sa character ni Sarah Geronimo, which is supposedly his grandma. So that is a bit weird, but I guess, whatever. Next one is Annette. It's a tragic love story between Henry, a stand-up comedian, and a Broadway singer, Anne. They had a baby named Annette who inherited her mother's talent in singing, which the dad exploited. This movie is weird AF. I mean, just look at baby Annette. Hideous. This is probably the weirdest and most artistic movie I've seen, like, ever. But I kind of like it though, kasi I really enjoy campy things. So, just really camp. Yeah, it's really strange. It's a musical din pala, by the way. Yung mga dialogues nila, it's like sang instead of spoken. So, ganon siya. But yeah, despite being weird, I enjoyed it. It was definitely a unique experience. Next, we have Aba Nakakabasa Na Pala Ako. It's supposed to be the timeline of Bob Ong's school days, who is the author of the book that the movie was based from. There's nothing really special about it. I guess it's supposed to be relatable and nostalgic, but I don't know, hindi ako masyado nakarelate. I guess because hindi ako 90s kid, so I don't know some of the stuffs that they did. But some of them naman, na-experience ko, like pooping in class. I've shit myself too in class. Yeah, anyway, next one is Grave of the Fireflies. It's probably the darkest Studio Ghibli film ever. I made a reaction video during the first time I watched it, and yeah, it's really sad. I cried in the end. I was being dramatic. The movie is about two siblings who became an orphan and are struggling to survive. The movie is set during the World War II, and yeah, it's really sad. Next one, we have Bambanti. Actually, I don't know if that's like the correct pronunciation, but Bambanti, yeah. This is so embarrassing. Anyway, it's really simple. It's about a kid who was accused of stealing a watch, and the mom was trying her best to prove his son's innocence. Ganun. So yeah, the movie is set sa province, ganun, very simple provincial life, and may inis kayo pag nalaman nyo kung ano yung tunay na nangyari dun sa relo. Next, we have The Matrix. Set in the 22nd century, The Matrix tells the story of a computer hacker who joins a group of underground insurgents fighting the vast and powerful computers who now rule the earth. So, alam nyo na yan. Do I really have to say anything about it? Like, Keanu Reeves movie, ganun, it's supposed to be really cool. Apparently, I don't know, ngayon lang ata ito nalaman ng mga tao. I mean, ako rin naman ngayon ko lang ito nalaman. Apparently, the story is about a transgender allegory, and I've read some things about it on how, like how it's related to the transgender topic, and it's actually really interesting, and it does make a lot of sense. So yeah. Next, we have Kamsawi, a group of broken-hearted women who end up at a resort that apparently specializes in healing broken-hearted people. Okay sana siya if it wasn't for Samuel B's character. I don't have anything against Samuel B. I just think na the movie would have been better if it focuses on the friendship of all the women there. Like, what if nag-focus lang siya dun sa friendship ng mga girls and like them trying to help each other out to move on, from being brokenhearted. O kaya naman, maybe make Sam Milby's character a girl para mas, relatable. Kasi I think it kind of ruins the point of the movie. Kasi these girls are trying to move on from the men that broke their heart. Tapos parang, in the end, lalaki din pala yung tutulong sa kanila. I don't know, that kind of ruins it. So yeah, anyway, next one is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. By the way, pinanood ko yung lahat, like the whole Diary of Wimpy Kid series, because it's something that I read back when I was a kid. Hindi ko nabasa lahat. Ang nabasa ko lang is Diary of a Wimpy Kid 1, yung una, and then The Ugly Truth, tapos Dog Days, and then hindi ko natapos yung Roger Rules. But yeah, anyway, about the first film, it was really fun kasi I had a lot of fun like pointing out the moments na nabasa ko sa book, like, hey, like, yeah, yun yung nangyari sa book. It was really fun like to look back to, ganon. It was actually in this movie that I realized that Greg is a dick and Rowley is such a sweetheart. Rowley is the cool and kind one, actually. Greg definitely did not deserve Rowley as a friend. No. Next naman, ayun nga, yung Diary of a Wimpy Kid Roger Rules, I did it for my man, Roderick. I know I'm kind of late na in the party, but y'all were right. Roderick is cute AF, and I wouldn't have enjoyed the whole movie series if it wasn't for him, kasi I just like staring at his face. And on top of that, I actually gave Roderick Rules a perfect 5 rating kasi Roderick Rules. Next naman yung Dog Days. It was fine. Greg is still a dick and Rowley is a sweetheart. While reading the book, I thought that Greg was the relatable one, but after watching the movie, I'm like, nah, I don't like him anymore. So last but not the least, a series, we have The Long Haul, which I hate. Hashtag not my Roderick. I don't get it. Like, why does he look Asian? His parents are white AF. So ayun naman, moving on from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, the next movie I watched was Perfect Blue. It's about a J-pop singer turned actress who is being hunted by an obsessed fan, and apparently other weird stuff starts happening as well. So it's one of those movies that needs to be rewatched in order for you to get it, because it can be quite confusing at first. But yeah, it's really cool and really interesting. Basta ang ganda niya. And it's also quite disturbing as well. Next, we have Whiplash. It's about the obsessed artist trope, katulad ng Black Swan. A talented young drummer who will do anything to pursue perfection. I know it's supposed to be stressful, but J.K. Simmons delivered a lot of iconic lines which I thought were funny. So, yeah. So, ayun, medyo na-entertain ako doon sa part na yun. Sa mga lines niya minsan, they were just really iconic. So, and yeah, the movie is really, really good. Like, super satisfying niya. Although medyo nakakainis, but at the same time, I don't know, it's just really good. Next, we have Gasping for Air. It's about Lulu who went missing after being scammed into going to the city to become a singer. Her brother Luis starts tracking her down but ended up discovering dark things. It's a cool mystery type of thing na nagtatackle din ng social issues and stuff. Next, we have Night Books. It's about a boy who is obsessed with scary stories, who was kidnapped by a witch and must write scary stories in order to keep him from being killed by the witch. So ayun, it's a horror movie for kids. I was lured into watching this because of the poster. Like, I thought the poster was cool and I thought it's one of those very scary horror movies, but apparently pala siya, pang bata pala siya. I don't know, it's not my thing, I guess. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I guess it's just not my thing kasi I'm not part of the target audience, I guess. I'm not part of the demographic, and I would have enjoyed other horror movie, but I think it's great for kids. So ayun. Next, we have Cleaners. Para siyang anthology about high school life, ganun. Like, part 1, may parts siya, like part 1, part 2, part 3. And then part 1, about siya sa, ang tawag dun? Nutrition Month. And then part 2, buwan ng wika, I think. I actually forgot, hindi ko nakabisado, but yung mga moments sa high school life, you know, yung mga characters niya, yung mga lead niya. Per part kasi may iba't ibang nagli-lead, but all of them are group mates. They are, sa isang group sila as cleaners. So, ayun, magkaka-group sila as cleaners. So, ayun. So, it's really nostalgic and really funny too. Especially during the first few parts of the film. Kasi ano siya like, it starts out as funny and light hanggang sa padarken siya ng padarken, like, during the end. Like, mas nagiging seryoso na yung topics niya and stuff. So, ayun. It made me miss face-to-face classes, and it made me realize that no matter how awkward or cringy high school life is, it's really one of the most memorable moments of our life, I think. Next, we have The Matrix Reloaded, yung sequel ng Matrix. It's set 6 months after the events depicted in The Matrix. So, ayun, honestly, wala akong na-gets. Basta ayun na yun. We're now down to second to the last movie, which is Respeto. I watched it during the anniversary of the proclamation of the martial law in the Philippines. And about siya kay Hendrix, who is an aspiring rapper who met Doc, an old poet who is still haunted by his martial law past. And it's also a celebration of Pinoy underground hip-hop culture. So ayun siya, parang siyang musical, but instead of like songs, nagpa-perform sila ng poetry and rap, which I think is really interesting. So yeah. Next naman, which is also the final movie that I've seen, is Mula sa Kung Ano Ang Noon, directed by Lav Diaz. It's another movie na pinanood ko during the anniversary of the proclamation of the martial law. The story is set in 1972 in a remote barrio where weird things started happening. And it's also the longest movie that I've seen. It's 5 hours and 38 minutes long. So yeah, it's really long, and this is my very first Love Diaz experience, and it's definitely memorable. So that ends the list. Those are everything that I've seen during the month of September. Overall, I've seen 25 movies. So ayun, ang dami niya. It's almost like watching one movie a day. So yeah, those are every movies that I've watched during September. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.